rock star. You can find me in VIP, all eyes on me. Yeah, where the girls are, 'cause it's how your nights should be.
All right. Welcome everybody to Gogotalx, brought to you by GOGOTIX. As always, I'm your host, Malachi Johnson. Today we are joined by my man, Doc Robinson of Black Passion. How are you, sir?
How you doing this evening, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Do I still say Black Passion Band or is it Black Passion Experience now?
It just depends on the night that we're booked, basically. That's how I use that.
Got you. I can dig it. All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us today, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, man, looking forward to talking to you. So why don't you start with just giving everybody sort of your background in the music industry and how you got into playing music and into playing in bands and go-go and all of that.
Grew up loving music, loving go-go for sure. My brother was a big influence. Clemont, he did the rap thing back when it wasn't, cool to be a rapper in this area. He had a group.
So let's get a little more specificity. Who is your brother, and what was his rap name, and how did that influence you?
My brother's Clemont. Everybody in the area knows him. Clemont Jacobs, one of the first barbershops that was around in the Lanham area, and he spawned like everybody that was a top barber currently, and so on and so forth. His group back in the day, he had him and a guy named Khalid, grew up on the street with us. They had their group, the Pretty Boys. They ended up changing the name, of course, as the rap game got a little bit rougher and tougher and everything, but they definitely were the inspiration. Everything took place down at the King's house. So, the first go-go band that was on the street, and, Bill from Y2K, he can attest to that. He was in that group. Everything that happened on that street, whether it was production, rapping, singing, go-go bands, everything started down there. So definitely was, that was my inspiration right there, just watching what was going on with my big brother,
Gotcha. So I want to say what's up to we got my man T-Bone from Trouble Funk in here, Gino from EU in here. What's up, guys? Mr. Moet. I'm not sure who that is, but what's up to you? Sorry, it's hard to tell with these YouTube names. I don't know. Like, of course, I'm sure I know the person in real life, but I don't know what their name is on YouTube. So sorry about that. But what's up, Mr. Moet? And what's up with everybody? So your brother coming up in because the purpose of this series is to sort of we got my man Brooks from formerly of Reaction out here in California with me now. 70 sound on there. So the purpose of this show is to sort of like figure out obviously go-go's been around for 40 plus years, right?
Yeah.
Going on 50, I guess. Maybe it's already 50. We all know that it has become the central, sort of cultural experience that our lives revolve around.
Correct.
That experience has obviously not, spread too far outside of the DMV, as you will. So some of the topics I'm trying to dig into with this series are why not? What is there something that we did right or something that we did wrong, along the way to cause that to be the case? So the reason I bring that up is because I'm interested to know if your brother was coming up in rap. Like, also, some people that watch this are not really familiar with the DC culture. So I assume you're talking about a time maybe in the 90s, early 2000s where rap wasn't cool in DC. Like, go-go was the cool thing. And was kind of looked at as like, oh, that's that little whack thing going on over there. So how did that play out? Like, with your brother, like how did that affect his sort of confidence? And the reason I'm asking that is because right now it's like go-go isn't cool and rap is cool. You know what I'm saying? And so in the way that used to affect rappers that were trying to come up, how is that now also affecting us as people in the go-go community? You know what I mean? So I'm interested to know if you have any perspective on that, growing up in a household that was into both.
Like I said, he was doing this. This was around the late 80s. I was born in 81.
Oh, okay.
I was the late, the last of my mother's four. So, they were already graduating high school and everything when I decided to come on.
Oh, so you're really, really the youngest.
Then. Yeah, like
okay.
By like 18 years. But like I said, this was like towards the end of the 80s, definitely all through the 90s. That was when I really was able to experience. He would take me to the studio with him. One of the studios that they had was directly across from Rare Essence Studio. So that was cool, coming up, being able to look and see like, oh, that's the dudes from Work the Walls. That's them over there. Mm-hmm. So, it was definitely just a great experience. But like you said, it's definitely the roles of flip-flop. Back then it wasn't, the cool thing to be a DC artist who was rapping and so on and so forth. You had to have a band. That band was everything. Now it's a totally different, vibe right now as far as the children, the youth. They're not pressed how we were pressed to be a part of something that was a band. They're not. That's not their mindset. Their mindset is, I want to go be the man in my rap lane, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when did you decide? When did you decide you wanted to be in a band and decide that was something that you wanted to do?
When I was in high school, I jumped off the porch with it. We had a little neighborhood band, Sudden Impact, and I wanted to be a part of that. I just was like, yeah, this is perfect, But the issue back then was where Go-Go was kind of like really getting that bad name and image was the beefing between the neighborhoods. And, I grew up in Maryland. So me growing up in Maryland, you had Chapel Road, you had, Glen Arden, you even had Spring Hill Lake that was deep as I don't know what, just on that side of the town where I was at. And a guy like myself, I played sports since it was able for me to play sports. I grew up with all these guys, so it was like, there's no way I'm going to be like, well, I'm not going to hang with these guys no more because I'm in a band. So I got to pick and choose who I can, what neighborhood I can walk around. Nah, it was going to be none of that. I'm walking in anybody's neighborhood because we all grew up together through sports. I don't care if we're older now, you feel as though because of some congos cranking that this person can't come to this neighborhood no more. So like that's when I fell out of doing the band thing back in high school. It was like I didn't want to be a part of not being, with my homies, being with my friends. I love the music, but I love, the bonds that I had built with all these people throughout the years. So that's where that went. And I left it alone after, during high school. I just left it alone and just became a straight fan. I couldn't see myself being a part of that culture where it was like, you about to get jumped because you put on, Glen Arden too much tonight, or you put on C Pleasant too much. Like, are you out of your mind?
All right.
Yeah.
I got you. So, but backing up a little bit, when you decided that you did want to be in a band, did you so you mentioned being across the street from the Rare Essence studio. When you decided to join a band, did you have any ambitions of national success, or was it just like we want to be Rare Essence and play 3-4 nights a week and make $300-400 a night or whatever, or however much, they probably make more than that, but just saying, just.
I mean, of course, when I first started, it was more so about the love of the culture. I didn't know any of the ins and outs of the business side or down to, you know, cutting a record. I didn't understand like how RE or Backyard or anybody was cutting records back then. You know, of course, back then, like Northeast Groovers were dropping, you know, heavy things that we partied to at house parties and everything and at school. And but I didn't, it was never like, oh man, let's get this band together so we can start recording an album. And it was like, let's get this band together to do something different outside of sports in the neighborhood. Let's do this to just have some fun. You know, that's what the whole drive was at that time. It was, if I'd known then what it was gonna, you know, come into fruition now for myself, I wouldn't believe that, you know, that would ever happen. I wasn't thinking like that.
So you say you wouldn't think that you'd be in the position that you're in now back then.
Right. Some of the accomplishments, some of the things that I've done, it wouldn't have been in my wildest dream back then that, you know, my voice would carry me into these situations, you know?
So when you were in the Sudden Impact, you were the lead singer in that band too, or what was your position?
No, back then, like I said, one of those things was my voice was totally different than what it is now. And even now, a lot of people be like, when I start singing, they be like, what is that? It's always been with me, you know? It's just one of them things. It just took the right time and right element to be like, all right, enough is enough. Let me go ahead and start singing, you know, and do what I can do. You know, I'm not saying I'm Derek Holmes, but, you know, I can hold it down. You know, I can do my thing, but I'm also a true leader. So that's where that one came in from, you know. That's just me.
Okay. All right, so you're in Sudden Impact, and then you decide that you don't want to be involved in the beef with your friends, so you step away from Go-Go. At this point, is your brother still doing the rap stuff, or? By
this time, you know, the rap thing with him and his group kind of had turned into more production. His partner, Khalid, KO Boys, they ended up going to California and Florida, and that started doing production heavy. And then my brother, like I said, he had owned a barbershop by this time. It was going on at least 15 years. Mm-hmm. He really, you know, started, you know, growing up, you know, got married, started having children, started raising a family. And from there, you know, that hope of, you know, breaking out, being this rap artist, it just changed because, you know, different priorities and things in life for him, and that's just what it was. But he never lost the edge or the, you know, that feeling. He was always still doing something, you know, as far as in the studio, whether it was trying to manage artists or if it was trying to just be a part of the production part of, you know, writing a record for somebody or producing a record for somebody, that type of stuff.
Gotcha. So when did you decide to get back into Go-Go after you had sworn it off?
It was in college. When I went my freshman year of college, I was supposed to go to Eastern Shore, and I messed up some housing paperwork, and I got either you're going to stay off campus, and, you know, Eastern Shore off campus is like,
yeah,
like, are you serious? Like, or, you know, or you stick around and just you come next semester. So I stayed home and you know, ended up having to do a semester at PG. But during that semester at PG, that's when I kind of started linking up with other people that I hadn't, you know, grew up with, basically. Because you know how it is that, you know, doesn't matter where you are, freshman year of college, you're going to link up with people. And so I started linking up with people, and then more or less, it wasn't even people that was at PG. I ended up being with people that was at Towson and Morgan, because that's where all my boys were and everything. And then that's how it all kind of came around. One of my good friends, Darren, he went to Towson. So we was up at Towson like we were supposed to be at PG, you know.
But y'all were hanging at Towson.
Yeah, we was up at Towson a lot. And one of his partners up there, his brother, my man Leon is the guy. Leon, his brother played with Raw Image. Okay. So once me and Leon got real tight, Leon was like, You love this go-go, because every time we get in the car, I got to put my back CD on my, somebody, he was like, man, you love this little, this ratchet. You need to hang with my brother. And I was like, what's your brother do? He was like, my brother plays keyboards for this band. And I think that's right up the alley. So I was like, all right, he hooked me up with Cowboy. His name is Delvon. We call him Cowboy. And I just started going with him to all the shows. And this was a different experience because it was in my come up, it was either, because of where I stayed at in Maryland, I go see Groovers, but because of my family, I was always going to see Backyard. Right. So that was only two bands. It was I ain't go see nobody else. That was it. You know what I'm saying? I went to go see Groovers because Groovers was, for the Roosevelt people. But Friday nights, I was at the Backyard at the Black Hole, But when I started hanging with Delvin and checking out Raw Image, it was like it brought that love back because at that time they had really caught their glide, and it was really it was amazing just to be around that energy, watching them about to really take off and take flight, and just being around that just brought that love and everything back. And of course, by the time I had just been hanging around enough, Butler was like, you need to do something. Like, you ain't gonna just keep coming, man. You're too big to just keep coming. Why don't you do security for me? And I'm looking at him like, security?
For people that don't know, Butler was the longtime manager of Raw Image.
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead.
So he's telling me to do security. I'm looking like, I'm not doing no security. Like, I'm here to party. Like, I don't need the money. Like, I'm fine.
So give some context, because people looking at you right now might not think that you are like cut out to do security. But
yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, granted my stature, but that's just like I said, I didn't come from that. Like, I'll whoop you if I got to, but I'm a Libra. I'm calm. I'm not about, so that just wasn't my lane. But like I said, I ended up having to do it anyway because Butler was like, look, man, you need to do something. But not just doing that, I also had to really be with the band. So like now I'm going to practice and I'm looking like, why you want me here at practice if you just told me last week I got to be security? And he was like, you never know what else you may be able to do. And that's when I told him, I was like, well, I used to do the band thing, but, I ain't thought about doing it in years. And he was like, well, maybe it may inspire you to do something, but you need to be with us at all times. So that's where the light bulb came back in, and it was like, man.
Why do you think he said that? Because I mean, you think he saw something in you, or like, why do you think he just was like, I'll be around us at all times? That's not like a normal thing for somebody to just be like, hey, random dude over there, you got to be around us all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think he would say that?
I mean, there was a couple of shows, horsing around, playing out, grab the microphone and say a little something and that type of thing. And I don't know if he picked up on it like that, but even, just horsing around, like I remember a few times, a couple of people looking like, hold on, man, say that again or do that again. Like, you know how to do this? And I'm looking like, yeah, but it's like, this ain't my time to explain, oh, I used to do it in high school. And, I was just there because my downtime in between, going to school and everything, I enjoyed the go-go. And I enjoyed the go-go so much that, like I said, my big homie, he put me with his brother who was doing it heavy. So that's just how things was working out.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so then you start playing for Raw Image, or?
No, by the time that I started really feeling like, dang, this is nice. This is something that I could possibly get back into. That's when the band started going their separate ways. Neil had left and went to TCB, and then before Neil had left, Delvin Cowboy, he had left, and when Delvin had left, that was the reason why I was around, was because of Cowboy. So I kind of like just fell back from that scene because it wasn't like I wasn't wanted around anymore. It was just my loyalty to Cowboy. It was like, well, if he's not here, I'm not going to be around. And I just moved on back to what I was already doing. And I was just going to school and going to see back or whoever was, UCB. By that time, that's what was going on with me.
Gotcha. All right. So what lead us into what happened next? Like what?
What happened next was one of the craziest things that I felt as though it just was meant to happen. Like I said, I messed up housing. So when I messed up housing, my mom got me up out of the house. So I ended up having to stay with my father. So
I've been waiting for 18 years for you to get the hell out of here. You're out of here, buddy.
He wanted me out. So I ended up having to stay with my father. So I'm staying with my father, it was great because, to him, I'm an adult. So he's letting me do anything as I please. And it's like living in an apartment, basically, even though, he's upstairs with the family and everything. I'm downstairs in the basement. It was a different type of vibe. But my little brothers, they were infatuated with the same things that I was infatuated with. And that was live music, entertainment. They just loved that. So I would come home from school, and when I would come home, I would walk into by the time I would hit the street, coming down the street, you'll just see the whole neighborhood at my father's house. So one day I finally was like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, y'all can't keep on running out every time I pull up. One day it's going to be him. And so they were telling me, they were like, man, we trying to do a band. I'm looking like, a band? I'm like, nah, man, get this out the house. Get this out the house. Nah. So they moved it to the door neighbor's house. So same thing. The difference was when they moved over there, everybody in the neighborhood could come because their father over there wasn't playing it. So one day I got out there, me and my boys.
Real quick, Doc, you breaking up a little tiny bit. You still on your Wi-Fi?
Yeah, my bad. I don't know what's going on. Okay,
you on the laptop or you on the phone?
I'm on the laptop right now.
The laptop? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, gotcha. All right, it seems to be okay now. So go ahead. It was just chopping up a little tiny bit. So okay. Go ahead.
So next thing you know, like I said, they moved to the next door neighbor. Once they moved to the next door neighbor's house, they started getting a little bit more serious with it. And when they started getting more serious with it, they asked me to come and check it out. So I came and checked it out or whatever. And I was, me and my boys, we just sitting there laughing because we're like, what the hell are they doing? It was, by that time, breakdown bounce beat was coming around or whatever. The breakdown was definitely there, but the bounce beat was knocking on the door.
Right.
So, as I sat in the practice one day, they was like, give us some pointers. So me and my boy would give them pointers. We'd take the microphone or he'd get on the timbales and we'd like, do this. So it got to the point where it was like, well, you guys know what you're doing so much. Why don't you just, be in the band? And we're like, nah. Granted, they like a year younger than us, a year or two younger, but that was like they're kids. No.
How old were you at this time?
I had a late birthday, so I was probably like 19.
Okay, yeah. So so at that age, like a year younger is like a millennium. Yeah.
So when they brought that to the attention, I was like, no. I just brushed it off, and then that gave them energy to really just take it serious a little bit more. Then they got a show. So when they got the show, they was like, just come to the show and tell us how things are going. So we came to the show, and we just stood from afar, and we just told them bluntly the next time was like, y'all suck. And it was like, well, why would you say we suck? We just like, it's too many y'all on the front line. It's too many people on the back line. Nobody's playing together. So the next practice, I was like, if y'all want my help, we'll come. But we're going to come through and we're going to fire people that don't need to be there. So we came through that next practice, did the same thing again. No, he got to go. Now it's downsized to something that it's not a bunch of noise. So of course, after that
do you remember how many people that was roughly?
It was probably 15 kids in that band at that time.
This was after the downsize or before?
After the downsize, it was probably, I think it was 12. It was either 11 or 12.
Jesus.
They still wanted to keep 3 keyboard players, which I always felt like that doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
You know, from, like I said, from after that, we had the next chopping block where they like, we come to the practice and they like, well, why don't you just stay on the lead mic, and then that way we can direct things a little. So by the end of the practice, I'm like, this sounds a lot better than what was going on before.
Right.
And this could actually do something. Then they were like, they pressed me into, why don't you be the lead mic? And I was like, I can't do it. I just can't. Then finally, I was like, all right, if you want me to do it, but I'm going to do another clean sweep of what doesn't need to be here.
Right.
So I did that last clean sweep. And then once I did that last clean sweep, the guys that were left over were really good. Like they were some really good musicians. Like a couple of them had started with like New Impressions back then.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of other bands that were hot back then that, you know, I didn't know these kids from anything. You know, some of them were freshmen in college like I was, and some of them were seniors in high school at the time.
Right.
But, you know, all in all, that's how things started. And this was like around 04, 05, I believe, when things finally just came into one.
I feel like that's around the time when I became the first time I remember. Well, it was probably 05. The first time I remember hearing about you guys, I don't even know what the circumstances were, but I know it was at the Safari Steakhouse.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was when I was playing with the What Band or Mama saw us play the Safari Steakhouse one time early on. So I don't remember which one of those it was, but I remember meeting you like in the parking lot or something like that after a show. Yeah.
That was the start. 05 was, you know, that whole Safari Steakhouse thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was the start right there for us.
Gotcha. So was the band already called Black Passion before you joined it, or you named it Black Passion?
The name was Black Passion. Like I said, my younger brother, he was the one that named it Black Passion.
Okay,
and,
gotcha.
You know, I always put that out there. You know, my youngest brother, not youngest, but my younger brother, he's the one that named the band, and it just stuck.
Damn, so you got more than one younger brother and another brother that's 18 years older than you. Damn, you got that's a wide ass gap, bro.
Look, man, I got on my mother's side, like I said, I'm the youngest by like 18 years or more. And on my father's side, I'm like the second oldest boy or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We got my man Willie on here. What's up, Willie? Jump on over to the YouTube, man. You can see both sides of the conversation. Doc trying to show me up. He got the little blue light behind his TV. The TV is in front of me. I need to get one of those blue lights so I can be cool.
The thing is, I tried to be real fancy because I got the band's logo on here, but for some reason, the way that this camera is angled, it just looks like it's a black screen. But if you're trying to
branding. But you got that on. That's good. You know what I'm saying? I can dig it. Yeah. It's all good. All right. So 05 is when things really start kicking up. And so, but at this point, like when you decided to join the band, like what is in your mind, what is the definition of success? Like, or was there one? Were you even thinking ahead that far? Or was it just like, it's a band, it's cool, we'll play, we'll get some shows, we'll make a little bit of money? Or was it like, I really try and turn this into something?
By then, I had been with Raw Image for that time frame where, like I said, they had really hit their stride. So I kind of already had a sample of what a young band's excellence should be blueprinted off of. Mm-hmm. And back then, just watching them in the studio, out of the studio, live shows, people pulling each other's coattail when it's like, man, look, you're doing too much. You had too much to drink. Like, I felt as though I had so much guidance and influence that if I could just translate this over to what I'm doing, we're gonna be fine. And my observation of being fine was not just let's get all these shows. It was literally like let's do some original music. So like Black Passion from the jump, we did like I remember our first shows. It was out of the set list that we did. I think we did like 8 songs. 6 of those songs were original, and that was what one thing that stuck out. Because I remember the first show that we took went under my belt. We played at the Mad Chef, and TCB was the headline. It was probably like, of course, like 6 bands in between TCB, but we were the first band.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we finished, the next day I got a phone call from Vic, and he was like, "You in a band now?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "No, I heard everybody saying that y'all were good." And I'm like, "Well, I hope so." You know,
All right, that's the idea.
Yeah, he was like, but not just that. He was like, "I heard y'all were playing congos, which was weird for a young band."
Right.
And he was like, "I heard y'all were playing original music." And I was like, "Yeah." And so from that, that's why I kept preaching to them. Then I was like, let's just keep the momentum of writing. Even if, you know, it sucks, we can all figure it out and make it unsuck.
Make it
That was the whole goal of everything back then, you know?
Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm so just for some context, like for me, so when I'm creating Mambo Sauce and our objective was only original music, the purpose of that was not just to play original music, but the purpose of that was to play original music so that we could become a huge international band, not just a local. So I guess what's the motivation for a band? I mean, if I understand what correctly, like you didn't have aspirations of like, oh, we want to be, you know, the Rolling Stones or something. We want to play in DC, which there's nothing wrong with. So, but having, you know, looking at it through that lens, what is the impetus or the motivation to want to play original music if the goal isn't to be a national or international artist?
At that point in of my career of, you know, just basically restarting everything, like I said, just coming from watching the Raw Image wave where that Shake It Out had just took over the city.
Right.
That was the basis and the process. Like, man, we need to make a Shake It Out.
Right.
Because I just was with these guys as they just literally just took over the city with this song. So that was the whole thing. Like, if we could get a song that's catchy and hot and cranks like that, I just saw what they were doing. We could do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We could be on this little in-city tour and going to these colleges out of city and everything. Like, we can do all that. We just got to make at that time, like I said, the thought process was shake it out. That's all you could think about was how to duplicate that hit record. That was the motivation that I was preaching before I was really engulfed in understanding the other side of the tracks, which was the business side that was more important than, you know, just getting up on the stage cranking.
So what did you like for if somebody's watching that's just starting a band or whatever, maybe that's their objective. Maybe they want to, you know, have you know, a regional, you know, local hit. What steps did you guys take to get to that point? And do you feel like you succeeded in that?
The steps that happened were, you know, the rise and the fall of this little basement band that turned out to get out of the basement, and we really had a nice little run between 05 and 08.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the downfall was me understanding myself. Like, the bounce beat had taken off, and we were playing with TCB 2 to 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Playing with Backyard the other 2 days. We were playing just as much as, you know, it was crazy sometimes looking at the schedule for the week. But the thing was, I knew for what I felt because I was older. You know, not just because I was older. I had I have older family members and everything, so I just got an old soul with me. So I knew like I'm not about to be doing this bounce beat forever or trying to mimic it because that's just not. I know how to do it, but I
Right.
knew I wasn't going to be stuck with it. So
But you're an old head in a young body, basically.
what it took for me was '08. I told the band straight up, look, we need to try something different. And they were looking at me like, no. And I'm looking at them like, well, if you don't want to try something different, I'm going to get up out of here and I'm going to show you how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And it took for that. Like people thought I was just, talking to talk. That's when I left my own band and I went and formed Big City with Uno.
I remember that.
When I did that, that's when every light bulb in the world that I may have thought about or looked and seen it all started popping off in my head because it was like once I did that, everything, all the doors open for things that really matter.
Why do you think that was, and what were those doors?
Why it was definitely because one thing with Uno was at that time he had already started penning things that separated him from the average because he was my rapper in Big City, but he was separated from the average rapper in Go-Go because at that time, like I said, he'd already penned things that were making sense outside of the Beltway.
Mm-hmm.
So just following what he was trying to do with his personal writing and his personal production, it gave me a different insight on, well, damn, if he's doing this like this, and if we all in this band together, and we can build this and put this on top of this, it just made a different type of level of what I wanted, what we needed, what everybody in the band should be inspiring and aspiring to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made the most sense at that time to really just, all right, let's switch the mode up. By this time, Listen started getting hot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, all me and my homies, all we did was go see Backyard by this time. Like I said, when I graduated, I didn't really go see groovers like that because by that time the band had broken up and when rapping.
I was in the band, and that's why you ain't come see the band.
Nah.
That's what it was.
But like everything at that time was just Backyard for us. But when Listen came out and it was time to I always tell everybody, Listen grew me and my crew up. Because not only were you going there to hear some different type of music that was, not your norm, this is where all the older bad women were at. All the dudes that was getting money, whether it was, in the streets or if it was legit, everybody who was anybody was there.
Right.
So when I started seeing that, I felt like this is more my speed right here. Because like I said, I got this old soul with me. So this old soul wants to figure out a way I want to get into this. Because if I can get into this, I can sneak a little bit of bounce beat in it. I can sneak these breakdowns that I'm, accustomed to. And I already got traditional go-go stamped with what I've already been doing. So that was like the whole motivation of Big City was like, all right, let's take this and make a gumbo of everything that people say you're not allowed to do in go-go, you shouldn't do in go-go, and what's going on right now in go-go, and what's the future. So that's how that whole thing just mixed up and got together.
So that's honestly the purpose of GOGOTIX in general, and specifically this thing, is to talk about the future, if there is one, of go-go. So you move to Big City, and then you have Black. I guess you got back to Black Passion again. Obviously, what's the goal of Black Passion now, and how do you think it fits into the overall future of go-go in general?
When I got back with Black Passion, it was kind of like it wasn't, Big City didn't break up because of anything other than Uno's father passed, and then 2 months later my father passed. And both of our mentals were so scattered at that point, we couldn't even think about, keeping the band going. But when I left, when we decided to just put the Big City on the back burner and just chill, we both still was involved in music. Miss Kim had a band at that time because she was in Big City. So by the time when all this, she has her band, she's featuring me all the time. Then Stinky Dink, he had a band called Main Stage.
Yep.
I was supposed to be a lead mic, but I was hitting with them every Friday. So I stayed relevant with the Go-Go until I went back to put my thing back together. But when I put my thing back together, I had learned so much being around Uno that was the main focus of moving forward. And moving forward, it definitely was like, okay, whoever's coming back with me right now, I need to know a few things. Do you have your BMI? Do you have your ASCAP? What have you done in the studio? What are you willing to do in the studio? What are you willing to invest into yourself and into this brand? Those were the major things that really came up for me, sorry about that. That came up for me that made the next round of Black Passion really be focused on something different that I felt would be lucrative for everybody involved. And it was just making sure that everybody was on the same page for what are we going to do that we have never done. That's been the gist of it.
Okay. And then so that was what year did you get back?
I put the band back together in 2010.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and give us sort of a recap of how you feel like based upon what your goals were, like what, I mean, you guys have actually, obviously done some cool stuff. How do you rank those against what your original goals were?
The cool things that we've done, I always look at them and look at them in amazement. Is a blessing. It's things that, some of the bands that have been doing this for 30, 40 years and, they have never even done, or they didn't get to experience until after a band like Black Passion.
Flex, I'm trying to give you a chance to flex a little bit, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
tell them what you've done.
We've done the first Miami Takeover I did was 2009. And then outside of that, we would book damn near every year, minus a few years, just because of technical difficulties. We've done, fast forward, we headlined the Capital One Arena for the Go-Go Night, which was a blessing, just to.
Uh-oh. I'm not sure what happened there. Let me text him. Let me text him real quick, see if I can get him back in here. While I'm waiting to see if he can get back on here, if everybody that's on here can do me a favor, 2 favors. 1, click the subscribe button below, and then click the little bell icon. So the subscribe button and the bell icon will let you know what what shows are coming up in the future. Next week we have Diallo Sumbri. Diallo is the owner of the Adinkra Group. He is the one that took Backyard to Africa. And so we want to talk to him about that and, what as outside opens back up again, what the future of those trips are. Okay, looks like we got Doc back. Let me try to bring him back in here. Don't tell me you got Cricket Wireless too, bro. Like, come on, bro.
I don't know what. I just had to tell the kids to get off the iPads, get off the video game. It may be an overload right now. I don't know what just happened. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, it did. It was chopping up a little bit earlier, but it wasn't too bad. But then this time it just totally went out. So anyway, so you headlined the Go-Go Night at Capital One Arena.
Yeah. We did that, and it was a blessing. It was just amazing because, like I said, we watched the year before when this was just announced that they were going to be doing this with the bands. So, you know, we went to go see when Sugar Bear played and Backyard played and Team Familiar. So the following season, to be the first bands to break it out was us and Scooby and Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just couldn't believe we got that phone call, but you know, you never know who's watching you. So it's always best to put your best foot forward every time you touch the stage, whether it's 10 people in front of you or 100, because the guy liked what he saw from us and was like, yeah, I want to put you guys on this. And that's where that went.
Gotcha. All right, we had a couple more people join. Krista Lee, how are you? And Biggie Rasta, what's up? What's going on? Thank you, everybody.
That's Black Passion members right there. That's my son.
Is it? Okay. I was about to say, I feel like you probably know who these people are, but I can't. It's hard to keep up on YouTube with everybody's name. But all right, that's what's up. So what's up, Black Passion family? Okay, so so do you feel, so I guess the original goal was Shake It Out.
Uh-huh.
And the goal now is what?
The goal now is to be where Chuck left off. You know, where Chuck left off was Grammy nominations.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's the main objective, and you know, we're working hard with it right now. Me and Uno have never fallen off from our path of, you know, just trying to figure out how to get a go-go hit record and, you know, get up off this island, because this is what I call this right here, this 495 island. I want to be up off of it as much as possible. So the main thing that we've definitely been focused in on is, you know, everybody write. When you finish writing, we'll find the beat, and then we'll do all the business after that. And the hardest part of that has always been the thing that you never think about, and that is the gift and the curse of when things were open. When you're playing 2-3 nights a week, and then you got to practice, so now that's 4, and then you even look at somebody and be like, hey, you want to go to the studio? We need to get in the studio. That's like, you might as well be pulling teeth. So the great thing about this entire falling off and not being able to perform during this pandemic has everybody has a refreshed idea and identity about themselves and about what they want to do. So it's not like the band is sending me completed songs. Sorry about that.
No problem.
You know how that just went through on my laptop, but you know,
no problem. I can get the phone on Do Not Disturb, but I can't ever get the laptop to be on Do Not Disturb all the way. So yeah, it's all good. So this is my frustration with Gogo.
Mm-hmm.
One of my frustrations with Gogo. If you look at every other genre that is popular in the world, the amount of content that is released is enormous.
Yeah.
And when I say content, I don't even necessarily just mean songs, but songs, videos, you know, whatever, lyric videos, anything you can think of, Instagram posts, whatever. And I understand that from a logistical standpoint, it's different for a producer to be producing on their laptop in their room and send a beat to a rapper who records the track in their room. That's a significantly less expensive and less logistically complicated thing to make happen than to get a 10-person band to show up all on time at a studio to record a song that may or may not have been written prior to. But what you just said is something that I hope that maybe other bands will adopt, which is that you said that your band members are sending you completed songs.
Yeah.
That's like literally where we are with technology now, is you can do that. You know what I mean? You don't even necessarily need a band to record a song. And that's one of the things that I've asked almost everybody that's come on this show. Do you need a band to be go-go?
Correct.
And So I will pose the question to you: do you need a band to be go-go?
No, you don't.
Okay.
Just like you just said, with the tracks that have been sent to me, like my bass guitar or my keyboard player, they're doing this individually,
Mm-hmm.
and they're putting all the instrumentation together for their peers as a like just the groundwork of what they think it should sound like. Granted, he's just a bass guitar player, so he's not a drummer. He's just putting it on there for you to be like, now you take this and you put your own flavor to it, and I'll see you at the studio.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vibe that everybody is working with right now, as far as my band is concerned, which is, like I said, is a blessing, because being able to get to that studio, because when we get to that studio, we are on a clock,
Mm-hmm.
and that clock ticks soon as we pull up.
Mm-hmm.
So being as though that these people are already going in with their homework done, complete, we just have to sit together and brainstorm and figure out how to actually perform it. And then once we perform it, that's when I go and record it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the only way that you're going to really feel that vibe and feel that connection to the audience is to actually perform it. And if that's the greatest thing about it, is to be able to step out there and perform your own song. I ain't got to worry about, man, what's hot right now on the radio. Since we've been back playing shows, the main focus has been, hey, those original songs that we got, let's put them out. Let's go perform them and see how the crowd is responding. Make sure that we get a recording of it from the engineer, so we can tweak it and be like, nah, I don't like this. Let's try this. That's the type of thing that we're dealing with. My kids right now, they're doing something. I don't know how they're even on my laptop.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay. So when's the Black Passion song come out?
Right now, what we're doing is this whole pandemic thing that just happened again, where everything is kind of like shutting back down. Is definitely a good thing. It's a bad thing and it's a good thing. So what I'm going to do now with this extra time that we're about to have right before the holidays, I'm going to try to finalize all the songs that we have literally performed that are originals, that we've gotten a chance to see how the crowd reacts to it. I'm going to take this time now that, everything's shut down, to get everybody in the studio and just bust out every track that we have collectively came up with and liked. Everyone is on board with putting it out there. I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna go ahead and record every single one of them. We may not release it until 2021, but at least I know that we'll have everything documented. That's the main focus, of making sure that everything is documented, because in 2021, you may say, man, I don't like this sound on this, and be able to go back and actually fix something or change something that we may have heard later on, and just be ready for when that weather breaks to just drop a full EP on them. That's the mode. That's the mode that we're on.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing it. I wish more. I mean, I'm just not quite sure that people understand. Oh wow, we got my man Eco Mekram. I think I'm saying that right on Instagram, chiming in from Ghana over here. It says BYB for life. That's your man. Yeah. So come on over to YouTube, man. That's where the full video is. It's youtube.com/GOGOTIX. Thanks for chiming in. We appreciate it. But I'm not sure that people are really paying attention to. Well, I think that most people in go-go are, slightly older and not really that in tune to the way that I'm a little different because I'm in the music industry and I'm booking artists. When outside is open, I'm booking artists, so I'm a little more in tune than your average person. But like, I have a client that puts out an MTV level video like every week.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And now, because he's been doing it for 2-3 years, like now each one gets like 1 million to 3 million views in the first couple of days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it didn't just happen because he just happened to have one cool song.
Mm-hmm.
It's a consistent thing. You know what I mean? So one thing that struck me when you were saying, it's hard to get people to come to the studio when you're playing 2 to 3 nights a week. And this all goes back again to what your objective is. You know what I'm saying? So if your agenda is not to be a national, international artist, then this is not quite as important. But what I hear a lot is a lot of, for lack of a better term, complaining from people in the go-go community about why go-go isn't recognized on a larger basis.
Mm-hmm.
But go-go doesn't do the same things that the rest of the industry does. Like, they don't put in the same level of work. And it's because of the fact that go-go can do what no other genre of music can do. Play 2 to 3 nights a week, which is play 2 to 3 nights a week within the same market. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't happen anywhere else. So it's so I can understand why some people feel like, oh, well, that's all we need. Because to be fair, go-go bands, even a mid-level go-go band, makes probably about the same as an emerging touring act, except for, a mid-level go-go band is playing in, at the same clubs every week, where a touring act is having to go all over the place. You know what I'm saying? But I just, I'm really encouraged to hear you say that, that you guys are working on recording. And I know it sounds like your goal is, you're not really trying to be like, Beyonce or whatever. But at the same time, I think that the more that people get into that mode of recording and putting music out, because this is the thing, like, you don't just like wake up one day and like, yeah, I'm a hit songwriter today. You know what I mean? Like, the people that write hit songs, literally, that's their job. They get up at 7 o'clock in the morning every day. And just like you might go to work at UPS or, whatever, or your kids are popular. Your kids are more popular than you, bro.
Yeah, I hope they've turned them off.
Yeah. Professional songwriters and people that write hit songs, that's their job. They wake up in the morning and write songs. And even people that are professional songwriters that do it for a living, or even professional artists, that may be songwriters as well, not every song they do is a hit. So if Diane Warren, who's one of the most successful songwriters of all time, gets up at 6 a.m. and does nothing but write songs all day, and not every single one of her songs is a hit, but a large percentage of them are, then why is it that a go-go band thinks that they're going to practice a song one time, go to the studio, and now I'm upset that it's not Billboard top 10? Because that's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, artists and labels put out multiple record and release multiple songs per day, per week. You know what I'm saying? Go-go is at an extremely slowed down pace in terms of a release schedule. And to be honest with you, I don't remember when the last time I heard a go-go record was that made me say, damn, that shit is cranking. You know what I mean? An original one. I mean, hello, you know what I'm saying? But like, that wasn't an original song. But, so I'm just encouraged to hear you say that you guys are taking more of that approach. Even if your end goal is not to be up here, it's still a good practice to get in. And even if you can get through that discipline, even if you can get a sort of mid-level record that reacts on a regional level, that's what that's what I think. A lot of the reason that go-go doesn't go further is because we don't really have a lot of examples of go-go going further. And so people have gotten discouraged by that fact. And the reason why rap has gone further now, and you've got the Rico Nasties and the Zanmans and the Logics and the Wale's and Shy Glizzies, is because they put in that work to get to that point. Like, Wale put in a lot of work to get to that point. And then people could look at that and say, well, I can do that too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we don't have a lot of examples of that in go-go, and really none within the past, like Welcome to DC was like the last closest thing that hit the Billboard charts that wasn't Chuck Brown.
Yeah.
And that was sort of a new band, if you will. That just sort of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, because I started building Marble Sauce in 2003, and we didn't have a hit until 2007. So it didn't come out of nowhere, but for most casual listeners, it did.
Yeah.
But that was 2008. That was 12 years ago. Could you imagine if hip hop was just like, yeah, we haven't had a hit in 12 years?
That could never happen for them. But that's the thing, hopefully.
But that's because of the consistency of releases. You know what I'm saying? Because people are like, there's probably 200 rap songs that came out just while we've been talking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the good thing is, like I said, hopefully not just Black Passion, but hopefully, the other bands that are out here, though things have slowed up tremendously. Hopefully they're just using this time to really reevaluate what it is that they want. Like I said, my whole thing is I just really want that hit record. If I can get that hit record, then I'm gonna continue to try to keep getting hit records until it's just known that, okay, every time that they try to drop something, they're going for the top. That's the whole focus of it, I like I told people, and I said, like, my go-go years are dwindling down. I never want to be that guy, that just wouldn't, leave it alone. I don't want to be that old guy up there still in the way. Like, so if I don't get what I need to get out of this, I'm going to bow out gracefully. But trust me, I'm going hard as hell for the next 5 years. For the next 5 years, I'm going hard as hell with this until I get something. And if I get something, that's when I won't stop. But I'm not going to be that old guy up there in the way. I can't do that. That's never going to be me. I love enjoying being at my kids' basketball games and all that type of stuff. So I've never made go be in the way of my life and what I need to do as a father, as a husband. But like I said, I got 5 more years of me going straight hard. And if it means I gotta, keep on investing in studio, and if it works, it doesn't work, I'd rather keep on trying doing that for 5 years, and hopefully something blows up from it. But if it doesn't, trust me, I'm gonna bow out gracefully.
I hear you. I hear you. All right. Well, so let's move on to a couple of weeks. I don't want to spend too much time on this, because this is not like like the purpose of this show is to hopefully educate and get more and get insight into how we can move things forwards. No, it's not Big G. It's Doc from Black Passion. If you go on youtube.com/GOGOTIX, you'll be able to see both sides of the conversation. But thanks for tuning in. So you took issue publicly with the upcoming Go-Go Awards that are coming up this week. Can you explain to people that don't know what your issue was and why you had it?
My issue basically was this. 2020 has been just a wrap. It's been a wrap. Granted, when the year started, from January through March, we had a great run. We won Grown and Sexy Band of the Year, and that was a wonderful thing. And we played.
You won that from what?
That was with the new platform from the We Got Next Awards.
Okay, got
it. By the fans from the stands. They together, and of course, we made it to the finals with regular Go-Go Awards and everything. And like I said, we won the We Got Next Awards for Grown and Sexy Band of the Year. We played some great shows. We played. We closed out CIAA. There's no more CIAA in Charlotte. We did that. We headlined that. Thanks to
more now, right?
Yeah. Thanks to GOGOTIX, we performed at the City Winery, which was it was big. It was everybody that came through was just so amazed of just the ambiance and the setup and the show that we put on. So that was just beautiful. But after that, that was it. So after that was, that was it. And everybody was kind of like forced to either sit at home or do a live stream, which we did. We did 2 live streams during that time. That was it. And I felt as though it was counterproductive to put anybody in rankings for 2020 because what has anybody done? And a lot of the bands that, were boastful about being nominated were just boastful because they were happy they were the first people to jump out there and take gigs in the middle of a pandemic and jeopardize the health of themselves and the band. And at the end of the day, I can't knock what they wanted to do because they still had that hunger to do it. Whether I felt it was appropriate timing or not, I just felt like, what are we really patting everybody on the back right now for? The bands that I felt as though need to be just recognized and observed and, given some type of recognition were the bands like T.O.B. and Backyard and TCB that I swear, like every week I saw them on a float somewhere doing something in the city. It was just amazing that they were doing this. And I'm not sure if they were getting paid or not. I've heard conflicting stories, but I know they was out there. So I felt as though those people, the actual the podcasts, that were going on that still stayed relevant and still kept things going during the pandemic. I felt as though they should be excluded from being nominated. They need to be recognized because those were the ones that still was conducting interviews with, Big G and Killer Cow and, all the top tier guys, and even giving bands like Black Passion a place to come and do a live stream. I feel as though those people should just be straight out recognized for 2020 GOGO Awards, and that's it. Of course, the discrepancies that kind of, seem to follow the GOGO Awards, that came back up when the nominees were listed. And that's another thing that I spoke up on. I spoke to the people, the powers that be. I just feel as though if it's going to be done, just make sure it's done correctly. Please make sure you investigate who was hot, who was on the way to be hot, who's being consistent. Because one thing about it, I'm 10 toes down with this. And when I'm 10 toes down with it, doesn't mean I just know who's on my circuit. I know who is in the bounce beat circuit. I'm paying attention to them youngins too. I want to know exactly who Aja is, who XIB is. I want to know everything that's going on, not just in my circuit on what I do, but everybody. And if I'm taking that serious, somebody that's actually nominating the bands needs to take it that serious as well. They need to know who is who's what, who does this, who does that, who has a hot underground little song going, who has a hot cult following, that type of stuff. And I felt as though it just was forced together, and it was bleeding through because it wasn't just me complaining. I just had time to complain on my platform for once. Regular time. If this was,
so let me ask you a question. Do you feel, because to my understanding, and obviously I've been in LA for 5 years, so I'm slightly out of the loop, but my understanding is that the We Got Next Awards was created out of a frustration of the GOGO Awards from last year because of things like Sweat being nominated for grind band or up and coming band or whatever it was, and then they were pissed because they feel like they've been around for a long time, even though they've been around under a different name. So I guess my question to you is, don't people complain about the GOGO Awards every year in the same way that people complain about every single award show every year if they feel like it's not done the way that they wanted it to be done? Or I understand you were nominated, you know what I mean? So you weren't upset that you weren't nominated, but I think if I remember, you were upset that some of the people in your band weren't nominated specifically. Isn't that just sort of par for the course for any award show of any genre ever? Or do you feel like there's a bigger issue there?
It's going to be like that with anything that is done. Like I've spoken directly to the powers that be, and I've let them know. One of the things that was brought up was like, would you get this mad if the whammies, those people said didn't do? And I told them straight up, honestly, I don't care about them because this is more personal when it comes to what I do on a week to week basis. When I think about the whammies, I feel as though I shouldn't even be thinking about them because I haven't done what I feel as though they're looking for to be nominated, to be put on any type of award show. But for what happens with Go week in and week out, I'm doing it. Week in and week out, I know who else is doing it. So it's definitely more personal. So yeah, we're gonna pitch a boogie about it because we're gonna be like, hey, who is in charge that doesn't know who the rapper is in UCB? Why isn't his name listed? Why isn't their lead mic not listed? Like it was things like that that I had to point out because it's just being bluntly honest with the people that are in charge. Like I understand you're doing a great service. You're taking something on your back that's going to cause a lot of jabs, a lot of indirect, a lot of direct. But you have had time to complete things that were wrong last year. I'm saying things shouldn't be wrong this year, especially in this climate that we were dealing with. And what was really dragging me at that point was we were weeks away from trying to figure out if Trump is going to get up out of here. We're still in a pandemic and numbers are climbing. So my mind state at that time was like, I felt bad to even send out a text message or an email to anybody like vote for my band. I felt bad because I'm more so worried about real life stuff that is going on that could affect my job, my children's livelihood. Like it was so much stuff going on. It was like how Jay says, like, there's much bigger problems in the world I know, but first I got to take care of the world I know. So that's where I was at with it. So that's why I was doing something that is not common for me. I speak up, but I'm usually the guy that is kind of like quiet with his directness. Like I'm gonna call you straight up. But that time I felt like I was using my platform to speak up and be like, nah, we don't need to be involved this time around.
Gotcha. Well, so I want to put in a little bit of context because it's not going to be, I guess, a secret much longer. So I was called to be on this committee for the Go Awards. I was not involved in the decision. I don't have anything to do with the logistics of the awards. I was not involved in the decision to do them, why to start planning them, any of that stuff. But I think what happened was, and I say this sort of in defense of to a certain respect, in defense of some of the people that put it together, that they really weren't going to do them at all.
Yeah.
And so not a lot of preparation had gone into making sure things were done. For some reason, they decided to do them again. For what that reason was, I have zero idea. And they realized that there was some contention last year about things being done the way that people thought they should be done. And so they said, because we don't have a lot of time to create a bunch of systems, to make this happen, what we'll do is put together a committee of people that have some knowledge in different areas. There were some people from the old school, there's some people from the DJ community, there's some people from bounce beat, there's some people from the radio side, there's me, you know what I'm saying? So, who booked a lot of bands last year, in various places, Fillmore, City Winery, stuff like that. And so, I want to say that in defense of those people, in that I think their intentions were good.
Yeah.
Their intentions were to rectify some of the things that were wrong last year. You know what I'm saying? Where I took issue, and which I said, I mean, I was involved. When I say I was on the committee, I was involved in 2 Zoom calls and a couple of emails. That's it. Like, it's not like I was really highly involved in this. And I want to clear that up, not because I'm trying to throw anybody that put it together under the bus, because again, they don't have to do this shit at all.
Yeah,
like, they're doing it for the love of the culture. And so I understand why. And everybody that was on those calls, I don't know if the organizers are getting paid. None of us that were on those calls are getting paid or getting anything out of this other than just contributing to the culture that we love. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to defend every single person that was on that committee for taking time from exactly all those things that you just described. Like, my entire business has been destroyed because I have 2 businesses, and both of them revolve around live music. Live music is not happening anymore. So, but I still took the time out of my day, at days and weeks or whatever, to contribute to this because I have a love for the culture, and other people that were involved in this did the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but throughout all of the communication, I took significant issue with the fact that there was no clear criteria of how a band gets nominated, how a radio show gets nominated or whatever. Thankfully, I was successful in excluding this show from the runnings because I felt like if I'm on the committee, my show shouldn't be included.
Correct.
And so I'm not saying that I'm not taking sole responsibility for that, but that is something that I said. I said, please take my show out. I know it went out in the first run of things, and then my show and other people who were on the committee and other people who were on the committee's bands were taken out. And I think that was the right thing to do. So I want to commend, the powers that be, as you say, the organizers, for doing that, not taking credit for it. I'm just saying that is something that I brought up. I definitely did not want my show included. I didn't think that was fair. So and anybody that was on those calls will tell you that all I kept saying the whole time is, what's the criteria? What's the criteria? What's the criteria? And the response was, which I understand, is that we weren't going to do this. Now we are. We don't have enough time to develop a criteria. And so what we're doing is bringing in people who we trust and we think the community trusts to try to make these decisions as best they can and leave as much of the decision-making process to the fans as we possibly can. Now, I can go on for a while about how much I think the fans should be involved or how much they shouldn't be involved. And that's not a right or wrong thing, because the Grammys are not decided by fans. The Grammys are decided by people that are in the music industry. I was a member. I was a chapter governor for the DC chapter of the Recording Academy of the Grammys for 4 years. So I understand how those decisions were made. The American Music Awards, on the other hand, is only decided by the fans. You know what I mean? So there's multiple ways to do that. And my thing is that I understand that people are going to be upset if they weren't nominated, or a specific person in their band wasn't nominated, or it wasn't done the way that they think it should be done. It wasn't done in the way that I think it should be done. But what I do want to do is say that, defend, at the very least, Dan, who, I would like to be a slightly more organized person, but I feel like his heart is in the right place. And, everybody that was involved in those meetings, I just want to make sure that I publicly say that everybody was spending their time for zero reward. You know what I'm saying? To be able to make, to be able to try to make the best decisions as possible. Do I think that the way that things were done was the best way that they can be done? Absolutely not. But also, the thing that I will say is this, that I think that part of the reason that has happened is because over the past, 30 years or so, we've allowed the culture of go-go to devolve so much that those kinds of things become acceptable.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I think it's a little bit unfair, and I'm not pointing the finger at you, directly, but at some of the bands who or other people who have complained, I think it's a little bit, it's slightly, I don't want to say unfair. That's the wrong term. You can't represent a group of people that are notoriously late, are notoriously drunk on stage, are notoriously looking at their cell phones on stage, are notoriously operating at the lowest common denominator, not recording, not performing up to a high standard, and then expect the award show that represents you to be done on the level of the Grammys. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So that's my thing, is that if you set the expectation as a band that is a member of this community that, well, that's not how we do it. This is go-go. This is how we do it. We don't have to show up at rehearsal. We don't have to rehearse 6 times a week for 4 hours a night to make sure that our show is as tight as Bruno Mars' show, because this is just go-go. Yeah. This is how we do it. You can't do that and then also complain that the thing that's representing you is not done at a higher standard. So all I'm saying is that if the expectation is that certain things are done at a higher standard, then everybody needs to reach up to that standard. And now what I feel, and this is what I communicated to the committee on the call, is that I feel like an award show can help to set that standard. I don't feel like you should be even considered for the fucking awards at all unless you submit something. My suggestion is, I mean, that's how it is at the Grammys. They don't just call up and say, "Oh, we're going to." That's right there. Then his label or his team needs to submit what he's submitting for an award.
But that's the thing right there. The criteria, and the criteria definitely has to. I'm for it being a lot stricter moving forward.
Yeah.
And I told Dan, and me and Dan have talked, and it's a definite. It's one of those things that it's respect. I didn't say anything that I said to maliciously take down the awards. I just told them I didn't feel as though Black Passion deserved to be in any type of nominations for 2020.
And don't get me wrong that I'm saying you did anything wrong. No. I'm just using your the example of what you brought up, which I think are valid points, to explain to other people that on one hand, and I don't care, you can point the finger at me all you want. I don't give a shit. I'm in LA. You can't do nothing to me anyway. But don't point the finger at the other people on the committee or even Dan or whoever that is putting in their time for nothing to try to do something to represent this culture. You know what I'm saying? And don't have an expectation that everybody else should hold themselves to a high standard unless you're willing to hold yourself to that same standard. And I don't see anything going on at GoGo.
That's the thing. That's the flip side of it is we're never going to get anywhere if we keep on putting caps on each other's side. Yep. Like I told Dan straight up, I'm putting you at a higher plateau than I'm putting if DJ Scratch and Sniff decided to do a damn awards ceremony on behalf.
Hold up, is there really a DJ Scratch?
No, but I'm just saying the thing is, like I had to explain to him, like we put you on a different plateau because we feel as though you call yourself the DJ that saved
Go-Go, yeah,
and you should know every aspect of what you're representing, and especially when it comes down to the awards part, because that was the only thing that was my main gripe was.
Well, but keep in mind, Dan wasn't the only person that did all of that. That's what I'm saying. Is there were people brought in from the bounce beat sector, from the radio sector, from the whatever. So real quick, I just want to interrupt for 1 second. 2 things. One thing, Bellamy Beats said the bands need to do something award worthy, make music that's award worthy. I couldn't agree with you more. And then James Anthony said, so how were the winners decided, fans or committee? To be honest with you, James, I've been sort of like not really that involved and not really paying that much attention. If they ask me to get on a Zoom call, I get on a Zoom call. and I give the input that I'm asked to give. And if they send me an email and ask me for my bio, I send them my bio. But I'm not super clear on that. But what I think is happening, and somebody else can speak that has more information than me, is that we narrowed it down to a certain amount of people in a specific category, and then it was narrowed down again by a smaller committee that I wasn't part of, and then those people are going to be voted on by the people. I think that's what's happening, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that.
I think they put a actual explanation up on the website that they have everything on. And I think the fans voted it down to the final 5, and then the final 5 are going to be based off the committee's guidance. I believe that's the verbiage that they used on the website to explain how they were going to, pick the winners for the people that made it to the last 5.
Gotcha. So yeah, so I just wanted to be clear, because what happened to me was, the committee was like, nobody really knew who was on the committee at first, but then somebody messaged me on Facebook and was like, oh, well, I hear you're on the committee, so I know it's going to be legit. And I was like, hold up. I didn't have anything to do with putting this shit together. They just called me and asked me my opinion. But I'm not saying that to throw them under the bus or act like they did anything wrong or anything like that. All I'm saying is that they weren't going to do the awards at first. They ended up doing them, and they didn't have enough time to put together stringent guidelines. Now, why they didn't have stringent guidelines from the years before, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever been involved. So all I did was what they asked me to do. So on the one hand, I'm being slightly selfish in that I don't want anybody looking at me like, well, you were part of this and you know what I'm saying, blah, 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 this or whatever. But at the same time, I don't really care, because I know what I did and I don't really give a shit what you think. But the second thing is, I'm sticking up for the other people that were on that committee as well, because there were, some of those Zoom calls were like 3-4 hours long and it's 3 hours earlier out here. So, it's like 11 o'clock. It's not that big a deal for me, but it's like 2-3 in the morning. And some of the people on the call are like 800 years old and they can't stay up that late. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like have some respect for the people that are taking the time out of their day with no reward in sight to do something for this community. That's the thing that irritates me and even if, like Joe Jackson is my man, you know what I'm saying? But even if Ronald Moden is making money off of the awards, I think it's a question of how much, you know what I'm saying? But if he's putting this shit together, first of all, I know for a fact the very first one, he fucking came out of his pocket tens of thousands of dollars to do that shit. And yeah, he probably made money because he was promoting it, whatever. But who the fuck doesn't do shit to make money? Like, why does everybody in GoGo want to get paid, but doesn't want anybody else to get paid for the work that they do?
Let me stop you right there. And as far as the stuff that came up with Ronald Moten, like I didn't endorse any of that. I don't know nothing about that. I applaud him for actually, being one of the people that are actually financing and putting this thing together. Whether he's starting to turn a key as far as getting money about it now, I don't know. But if he is, hopefully it'll end up funneling to the bands one day. But my thing is this: the same way that you're defending the people that are putting up their time and their energy is the same way that I'm putting up and I'm defending the people that put up their time and their energy. And my thing is, if you are creating a nomination list, you should know if Trey from Re-Up is dominating. You should know if Bam from All-Star Blend is dominating. You should know who the hell the rapper is in both of those bands. You should know who the Timbali player is in both of those bands. Just the way that those people that are on that committee are doing this for free. A lot of us that are doing this unpaid, it's a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of miles on your car, a lot of miles on your body, everything. And that's the way I feel, as though, like I said, I'm for if they want to say, all right, moving forward in 2021, it needs to be a different type of criteria. You need to submit 4 original songs. You need to submit 4 covers. You need to submit a video of your band. I'm down for all of that because I promise I will do whatever is needed to be on that.
Well, listen, all the bands better just hope that I don't have anything to do with the criteria, because ain't none of y'all motherfuckers gonna be in the shit if it's up to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I just have a bigger vision for GoGo, and I feel like we could do so much more if we like just put a little bit more effort into the situation, and if we just had enough self-awareness to look at our recordings and our videos and put them up next to the recordings and videos of national artists, and have the self-awareness to look at them and be like, that shit is not the same.
But maybe that's what is needed, though. Maybe that exactly is what is needed right now for this awards and anything. It may be time that if we're going to really keep on doing these awards every year, if we put more stringent guidelines on it, it's going to create one thing. Either bands are going to step up and do it, or you're never going to hear about them anymore, period. And I'm for this shit, because at the end of the day, I thrive off of what somebody tells me I'm not going to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
What they feel as though you can't do. I thrive off of that. If I don't have something,
well, then Black Panther ain't gonna have a hit in the next 5 years. So I'm telling you that. So
hey, that's what I need to hear.
There's of course I don't believe that. I'm just saying that to try to get you inspired. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Eric Curry, who I assume is Eric's father, said Eric from UCB's father says it won't be an awards if you ask bands to do that. I'm cool with that. My thing is I'm not with this mediocre fucking level of ambition.
Yeah.
To me, I'm not with this. Oh, it's cool to just have a shitty video and a janky song and shitty photos. I'm not with that at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Granted, I'm only one person, and who gives a shit what I say, but that's my thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's also not my awards, so it's not my decision to make. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to clarify that, and not that I'm again disagreeing with anything you said or any of that. I just wanted to defend the people that put their time into doing this.
Oh no!
But at the same time, I feel like it's slightly different with the band thing. And I'm not saying that there not a lot of time and energy goes into being in a band, but people are in a band because they love it and because they feel like they're eventually going to get something out of it. This group, we're not getting anything out of it. And yeah, we love the music, but we don't love fucking arguing with each other for 4 years. I mean, for 4 hours at night. You know what I'm saying? It's not fun. You know what I'm saying? We don't get any. How come the Ari and Snoop vid didn't get nominated? Did it come out too late? I'm pretty sure it was on there.
It was on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on there. And thanks for mentioning EXO band and connection. Yeah, of course. Like, and then it just kind of it just was it's a little bit frustrating. Like I know people were like upset about the way the out of town bands were presented or something to that effect. It's like we literally were on the Zoom call like, yo, how can we recognize these bands that are doing shit outside of here and show them some love and try to show people that it's not just bands in the DMV. And then it's just kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like I just feel like it's just this pervasive culture in go-go to just complain about everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like nothing is ever good enough. And I understand that, again, if it were my awards, it would be a different situation. You know what I'm saying? That, like, I would have stricter criteria and all that. But the fact is we didn't, and everybody did the best they could. And all I'm saying is if your band members can't show up on time and are drinking on stage and looking at their cell phones on stage and you're not recording shit, then shut the fuck up. That's all I'm saying. And that's not directed at you, of course. That's just directed at just go-go in general. Like if you're doing, what we call go-go business, then don't get mad when the people that are representing you doing the awards do go-go business as well. Everybody needs to step up. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm totally with it. Like I said, I'm for stricter guidelines moving forward. I'm for it being a lot more transparent as well.
Okay.
And it needs to be, if we're going to continue to do this, and now that I've heard that the mayor's behind it, she's willing to fund the actual award ceremonies and everything. Now is the time that we really need to take it a lot more serious as an entire community of go-go and put out the best possible product. And it starts in the beginning, and it starts with making sure names are spelled correctly. Small little details like that.
Somebody's name spelled wrong. I corrected some names. So
I'm not going to nitpick on what's going on right now, but there's still some things right now that, we just have to make sure, like, I'll wear go-go on my chest. It's not just my shirt. Like, this is what I've literally invested my time and my energy and my life in for. It's been going on like 17, 18 years straight, nonstop. So I'm engulfed in it so hard that I just wanted to
5+ for me, buddy. I feel your pain.
But I just really want to see it done properly. And, I just want to see it done to the point where that I can just look, whether I'm nominated or not, and just be proud. Like, damn, they've really put this thing together.
Well, here's what I will say for anybody that feels the same way that you do. Be the example. You said you guys are in the studio. You said that you guys are, recording stuff. You said you're trying to step the game up. Let's see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm with it. And I know you are, because you sent me stuff, and you know what I'm saying? I applaud your efforts. You know what I'm saying? But to anybody else that's listening that may not be doing what Black Passion is doing, if you want other people to step their game up, then you need to step your game up too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't heard no hit records, seen no banging videos. I mean, I shouldn't say I've seen no banging. There have been some good videos that have come out, but I'm just saying, like, a cool go-go record is not a hit record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta make a fucking hit record, and they don't happen that often, but they don't happen that often because people don't make enough music. So make more music, and then your chances will go up. It's a percentage game. You know what I'm saying? Like, if 10% of your songs are hits, which is highly unlikely, if you make 10 songs, then that means one song will hit. But if you make 100 songs, that means 10 songs will hit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we don't even have 100, and this is what I talked about in other interviews, is that, people, why we don't have a category in the Grammys? Why don't we have a genre listing on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever? Well, I was in a meeting when I first joined the Grammys, when Tom Goldfogle invited a bunch of people in the go-go community to try to get them to join the Recording Academy. I think out of that meeting, there was probably 20 people there from the go-go industry. And I think I was one, if not, one or two people that actually joined and stayed on and ran for governor and got elected as a governor later. And in that conversation, people were asking that same question. And somebody from, whatever, the LA office or something, I forget who it was, but basically it was like, well, in order to qualify, you need to have 800 official releases in this genre within a year. And at that time, official release meant a CD with a barcode and all, you know what I'm saying? It was prior to streaming, or it might have been iTunes at that time. I don't remember. But, right now, the definition of official release is different than it was then, because we're in a streaming world. And so that might be a slightly different calculation now. But I'm just saying, we're so far off from being anywhere close to that. And it may even be more now, because it's easier to put out an official release now than it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times easier now than it was then. You know what I'm saying? You could just pay $10 and have your shit on Spotify next week. You know what I mean? And we barely even do that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, all right, I'm off my soapbox now. Sorry. I just wanted to clear that up, and it wasn't directed at you, but I understand the frustration that you and others have had. But I just want to let people know the other side and make sure that you are not pointing the finger at people who are just trying to
that was definitely not
trying to do the best for the thing and figure out how we can all uplift everybody together and figure out how we can do it the best together.
Trust me, that definitely was not my intent. And I spoke to Dan, and the main thing that really hit home when I spoke to who I consider my mentor in this game is Coop, the former manager of Backyard.
Yeah.
He said, "Doc, didn't we just argue for about an hour and a half about the daggone NBA playoffs and finals? Didn't that keep on going on? Why can't the Go-Go Wars go on?" And I said, "Damn, Coop, I didn't even think about it like that. That it was selfish of me just to feel as though no Go-Go Awards should happen because of the pandemic." But I made sure that I let him know that it wasn't just about it not going on, but I just felt as though it just needs to be recognized. Certain individual efforts need to be recognized and not nominated because, like I said, there were some people that really put their lives on the line, not just by going earning a couple $100 in a club, picking up a show because you picked up a show because nobody else is taking a show. But I'm talking about the ones that was really in the trenches on those floats, posting up at those parks and so on and so forth during that social climate time. That was, that's what I felt like. Those guys need to be recognized. So, yeah.
I wish they would. I wish they would have put Backyard on a float to drive right through all them Trump motherfuckers, run their asses over. But yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Yeah, Ricky. So the Grammy info, I'm not sure is still correct. And to be honest with you, I don't remember if it was 80 or 800. But I know that even if it's 80,
Yeah,
we're close. You know what I'm saying? And that's fucking depressing. You know what I mean? And I'm almost positive that if it was 80, or it was one of those two. I just don't remember the extra zero if it was 80 or 800. I just remember we were really far away from it. But we're not even close to that, and I'm sure that it's way more now because it's significantly easier to have it what they call an official release now with a UP, with an ISRC code and metadata and actually put out on official streaming services. It's like 500 times easier to do that now than it was when I joined the Grammys in 2008 or whatever it was, 2008, 2009. You know what I mean? So cool. Well, so Doc, I appreciate your time. Give us a heads up on what to look out for from Black Passion. What's coming up?
What's going on with us right now? Like I said, everything done shut back down, so we're back in that grind mode of actually just having extra time to really just focus in and dial in on writing and producing and trying to get things together so that when things do open back up, we are gainfully prepared.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Does everybody in your band have a job? Or is there anybody in your band that relies on the money from Black Passion to pay all of their bills?
One thing that I'm so happy about right now is I go through phases where it's time for new members to come in, and this past wave of people that came in, they've been with me a little over a year now. But even though these people are like musicians to the core and artists to the core, this band is not their bread and butter. This is something that they love to do, but they have 9-to-5s, they have their own businesses. So this is it's a blessing to work with these people right now because anything that we do, I'm making sure that you get paid. But I don't want you to be looking at me like, bro, I'm gonna kill things if I don't get money tonight. Like, I'm not looking for those type of musicians and artists anymore. So I'm blessed to be able to work with these people that I'm working with right now because they do the church and get money from the church, and that's great. But they Monday through Friday they're just like me. You handling business, whether it's your personal business or you going to a 9-to-5.
Well, the reason I asked that is because earlier you said that it's difficult to record and it's difficult to, um, get the band in the studio when you're playing 2-3 times a week. So my
old people. That was the old staff that I had, and not just the old staff. It was just like getting to this this core that I have now. It was hard. This core now, I could call them right now while I'm on this, this meeting with you and say, hey, meet me down at Charlie's. We're gonna go down there and record something real quick, and they'll be like, all right, bet I'll be there in an hour. It's a different.
The reason that I asked that is not necessarily just specifically for your band, but just in terms of anybody else that may be listening. So what I'm saying is, if the difficulty prior was that 2-3 nights a week you're playing, and it makes it difficult to find time to get together and create or record. If your band is not reliant upon like if you can take one of those 3 nights,
mm-hmm.
and instead of playing, because you don't necessarily need that money to survive. It's a different situation if you need that money to survive, and I understand that. But if you don't, if you just say, okay, well, instead of playing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to play Thursday, Friday, and every Wednesday we're going to get together and we're going to either create and or record, and there's nothing getting in the way of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this is like, go-go is the opposite of every other genre. Somebody on Instagram, Flight DJ, asked, how can go-go become a genre? Go-go can become a genre when there are about 100 times more output of content and music and videos and shit that is coming out right now, because we don't have enough music coming out. That goes back to the Grammy thing. But the reason we don't have enough music coming out is because recording and creating music, and I don't even necessarily mean originals versus covers. You can create a cover of something, you know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Yeah.
But creating music and creating content, whether it's videos or recordings or whatever, is not the priority for a band. It's a side thing. And go-go will never become an official genre and never get to the level of success that people want it to until that ratio is switched.
Uh-huh.
So it's Ricky Angles from Hucklebuck said, and XO in Atlanta said, tell Doc I said good interview. And then James Anthony wants to know, is Black Passion and LLC set up to accept a check if that's the pay avenue? I'm pretty sure that's a yes, because you gave me time when we played at when I had booked you at City Winery. 2 things I want to clear up real quick. One is I thank you for crediting GOGOTIX for that, but that actually wasn't GOGOTIX. That was my booking agency, which is a live agency, and then I obviously helped lend some promotion through GOGOTIX because City Winery was a monthly advertiser with GOGOTIX, and that's how that happened. But the other thing I want to clear up, James, you're if I understand your point correctly, there's a lot of people that talk about getting a band to set themselves up as an LLC correctly and all that stuff, and 1,000,000% that is important. However, what I will say is in Gogo's biggest problem is not just the business structure. Not Gogo's biggest problem, but Gogo's biggest problem with rising above the level that it already is. Most of the top bands are LLCs. I don't really care that a small band is not an LLC. That's not going to make or break their career. What's going to make or break the career of a band and getting in the highest level is what you just said earlier, a hit record. So if I can give one piece of advice to any band that's listening, Doc, you obviously already have it figured out. Fuck everything else except for the pursuit of a hit record. That's the only thing you should be focusing on. Because even if your only objective is just to play 3-4 times a week, you just described earlier that your initial purpose behind Black Passion, was to be like Raw Image and have a record like Shake It Out. Was a hit record, which allowed them to play more often and make more money. You know what I'm saying? So it's true on a local scene and it's true on a national scene. Like when Miracles came out with Mambo Sauce, the price of Mambo Sauce tripled.
Yeah.
Because we were getting played on radio all the time. Now, granted, radio is not the arbiter of success these days. It's not the metric by which you should be measuring your success or failure in the music industry. But regardless of whether it's radio, it's Spotify, it's Apple Music, it's YouTube, it's on the corner, it's driving down the street, it's in somebody's car, it's whatever, it doesn't matter. The through line is if you don't have a hit record, you don't have shit, really. You know what I'm saying? So that should be the goal. That should be the focus. Fuck everything else. Hit records. That's it.
Yeah.
And when you first start writing songs, you're going to suck. And I'm stealing your shit, Doc, because the only way to make them unsuck, I've never said that shit before. I'm sure that from you. It's going to be in every Gogotalx interview from now on. Only way to make your songs unsuck is that to keep writing them until you get better.
Yeah.
It's just like riding a bike. You know what I'm saying? But go-go bands go into the studio. They played the song 3 times at a show before, and they think like they're just going to go play it one time in Charlie's or Rio's and, okay, all right, you cut it up. I'll see you later. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. The reason Welcome to DC sounded like Welcome to DC sounded is because it took 3 days for us to record that in about another week and 2 weeks going back and forth on the mixes. You know what I'm saying? The reason Wale had a hit song with Lady Gaga, which Eric Curry, who's may still be on here, who your son can attest to, is the fact that they worked for, I can't remember if they worked for 40 hours or they did it 40 times, re-recorded it 40 times, that hook. You know what I'm saying? There's a different level of expertise and commitment that goes into writing and recording and producing a hit song than just playing a song at a couple of shows and then going into the studio and rocking it out. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? So focus on that shit. I'm happy to hear that you guys are doing that. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have coming up. I'm sorry that you won't win a Go-Go award this year because you took yourself out, but I won't win a Go-Go award this year either because I took myself out. So I totally understand.
There's a silver lining to the Go-Go Awards this year, though.
Okay.
I said there's a silver lining to the Go-Go Awards this year, though.
Okay.
Our female vocalist, our lead singer, Krista Lee, that chimed in earlier, she's actually featured in the live performances for the First Ladies of Go-Go.
Oh, nice.
So she got to perform with Belladonna. They learned one of the songs that she's famous for in the city. And it's a great thing. It was one of those things that, you know, granted, like I said, me and Dan had our talk and everything, and she wasn't put in the nomination list. But even outside of that, I'm not saying over his head, but over the production, something came through where they were like, put her into this actual program. So Black Passion is going to be represented very well in the actual production of the Go-Go Awards. So even though we're not in the nomination categories because I took the band out, I'm not angry about that. That's just how my personal feeling, to give us some hunger and some determination to get to the 2021. But we're going to be represented really well by our female leading lady this year for the 2020 Go-Go Awards.
Well, that's dope, man. Congratulations. And I look forward to seeing it. And I look forward to hearing, 20 new records from Black Passion this year. And hopefully one of them hits.
Yeah.
And good luck to you, man. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, please subscribe and click the bell icon below. That'll let you know when the next ones are coming up. Thanks, Doc. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been a great thing that you've been doing with this platform. So I've been paying attention, and I didn't know that you could ask to be on. So I was like, let me hit him up to see if I can get on this thing, because I've been watching and tuning in, but I didn't know the criteria, honestly, of what how people were coming on, because I saw Dig Dug and I saw a lot of people on that was like interesting interviews, and then I saw my partner Uno, he was on it. I was like, man, I need to get on this thing, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I wanted to use this as an opportunity to speak about the Go-Go Wars, because you were you obviously made your point known, and then also, so I interview a lot of the older guys, but really the purpose of this is to not like, I'm not trying to compete with Cato or Walker Reds or any of those guys who are doing great work in terms of documenting Go-Go and the history and the legacy of Go-Go. My objective always is to create a conversation around how can we move it forward.
Okay.
And I think in order to do that, we need to talk to people like yourself and people like, I mean, granted, I know you're like a grown and sexy man now, you know what I'm saying? But you're younger than me, you know what I'm saying? And you're sort of representative of at least maybe not the younger generation, but a younger generation than me. And so I wanted to, and I know that you have, that you take a little bit more of a serious approach to what you're doing than the average Go-Go band. And so, I felt like you had something to contribute to people that are listening in other bands that, that people, we need the example. We need the example of people doing shit better. And even if you haven't had your hit record yet, or you haven't, like been on the big stage that you want to be on yet, you're still putting one foot in front of the other every day to make it work. I'm on an app. I wish I could remember the name of the rapper right now, but I'm on an app with another app with, like more industry, not Go-Go folks, but, like more people that work at record labels and radio stations and stuff like that. And I heard somebody talking about a record that is just breaking into the mainstream that they've been working since 2017. And that's I think people think now that you just put out a record on Spotify and it just blows up. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of work that goes into blowing this shit up. And so I think it's important for people like yourself that are represented to know that, like, this shit takes work. Like, you got to put some money into it. You got to put some time into it. You got to put some effort into it. Like, you can't just crank and expect the fucking world to come to you. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So, and in dealing with you, when I booked you guys, and who was that? It was you and Re-Up, right? I can't remember who else I booked you guys. But yeah, City Winery, like both of your bands were, anytime when I ask for shit, because I treat that, even though I'm booking Go-Go bands in there, I treat it the same way as when I'm booking Erykah Badu's band. It's, I need your W-9, I need your images, I need your bio, I need all the information to put in, and there's a full-on contract. And I didn't have a problem getting that information from either band. And so people should look to that. You know what I mean? So I wanted to bring you on so that you can give a little bit of an example for other bands on how to do things.
Definitely.
So yeah. So I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, bro.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. That was Gogotalx for today. Next week, we've got my man Diallo Sumbry, owner of the Adinkra Group. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure if he's going to be joining us from DC or from Ghana, but he is the man responsible for taking Backyard to Ghana. And is looking to sort of bridge the gap between Ghana and DC, with Go-Go and other forms of art and culture, that bridge the gap between the two cities, which are officially sister cities. I think I'll get some more information from him on that next week. But make sure you tune in. So Gogotalx is every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Western, West Pacific time if you're on the West Coast like me, and got more good shows coming up. Go ahead to GOGOTIX.co. We've got that contract for your skin lightener. I was born like this, brother. I'm the palest human on the planet. I wished my entire life that my freckles would join together and I would just get a tan, but it never works. I just burn and turn red again. But thanks for tuning in, James. I appreciate you, man. Big Jim. Yeah, make sure you tune in, gogotix.co. So I started a blog over there too. Obviously, I'm only posting when I can, but people seem to like that, so that's good. There's good show listings up there as well. Obviously, it seems like things are about to shut down again, so those will start to peter out a little bit. But I know that upcoming we have the rescheduled live stream for Serious Company was supposed to be November 13th, but from Union Stage, which is down by the Anthem on the Wharf, that's been rescheduled for December 19th. At this point, there are a limited number of actual physical tickets. I think they're going to have like 25 people that actually come in the building, but then there's virtual stream as well, tickets for less. Whether or not those people will be allowed into the show at that time or not, I'm not sure what's coming in December. But anyway, yeah, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Please subscribe and click the bell. That helps me out. Visit the website. Check out the Instagram, which is at GetGogoTix, on Facebook at gogotix.co as well. All of those links are on the website. So the website is sort of the hub for everything. You can get to everything. Just go to gogotix.co. You can sign up for the email list. You can text us, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, thanks again, guys. And we'll see you next week. Have a good one.